panel discussion is proudly sponsored by Saga. Please give a fabulous scrum dilly yum yum welcome to our panelists, Dr. Fiona Ramsay, Nambitha Mpumlwana, Khumi Hamese, Mamohau Seaseane, Noni Khumalo, and your facilitator, Lutho John.
I think you can give them a bigger round of applause. Let's give them another big round of applause. Oh man, oh man. One thing we were joking about backstage is how the ladies look so good. Like they came, they understood the assignment. So thank you, ladies, for understanding the assignment. Stepping it up. And talking about, so I'm going to begin with you, Fee, again from the further side. Just in terms of females working, just besides even voiceovers, it's tough to say but the least. To be able to still speak up for yourself and still, you're going to ruffle feathers for sure, but how are you able not to just stand on the sidelines in your own personal career, but also speak up for others if you see that there's something that needs to be brought to light?
Well, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I think that, number one, I'm a bit disconcerted that we were separated from the males. Because, that in itself endorses the thing that we're either better, because they left the best for last, but it kind of sets up this binary thing, you know what I mean, between male voices and female voices, male actors, female actors. But I think that what we have to do, what we have to do for younger voices, I've certainly done that my whole life, is train younger voices to know the industry, to extend themselves, and to be able to say to someone that you're in the booth with that's younger and that doesn't have the same experience, don't let them talk to you like that. Because the amount of time that you go into a booth and someone says, I don't know, it's not working, you're not sounding like a mother. And you go, what kind of mother? I don't know, just a mother. Is the mother cross? Is the mother happy? Is the mother, there's a range of things. But I think the most important thing just about this is knowing your own voice. Yeah. Knowing what your voice can do. I remember going into a voice studio and there used to be all these, the client through the glass looking at you. And I remember going in and I took my mom to show her how brilliant her daughter had turned out. And I came in and it was dubbing, actually. It was dubbing a commercial. They'd shot it in Brazil and it was for toothpaste. And a cleaning agent, not toothpaste, cleaning agent. And so I had to say, I can't believe how easily the scum came off my bath. Because that was my line. So my mother's sitting there and I said, just play it for me a couple of times. And I'm trying to do this. And I do it and I say, I can't believe how easily the scum came off my bath. And I just saw all these faces going. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, Fiona, you have a beautiful voice, but you don't sound like you've ever cleaned a bath in your life. So I think knowing your voice, and I said, okay, let me try it. I'll try it again. And I went, I can't believe how easily the scum came off my bath. And they just went, so I said, I'm the wrong voice, and I walked out, I still got a fee. It wasn't broadcast fee, but I think that's the most important. Pushing the boundaries, certainly, like Andrew said, try and do something. Sometimes you'll be reading, when they ask you to read for time, and you're just reading the announcer, but you say, I'll read the whole spot. Yeah. And so one was a child, and I went, I can't believe, Mommy. And they said to me, will you do the voice afterwards? So, what I'm saying is never limit yourself. Always just try your voice being sexy or excited or, don't limit it. The range is essential.
Range is essential. Thank you so much, Fee. Thank you. And now moving on.
She doesn't know scum.
She does.
I do. I just cover it up well.
Wow, okay. One factor that I think a lot of people tend to forget is the power of their own story, which comes with language, right? And, as an English voiceover artist for myself personally, I also do voiceovers quite a lot in Xhosa, because Xhosa is my mother tongue, but throughout my own journey, I've been able to, slip of the tongue. But in other words, the duality of the two always allow me to always be working, because if it's not in English, it's going to be in Xhosa, So a lot of us forget that, especially just looking at some of you in the audience, and that your own mother tongue can give you like even more income in terms of your own career. Well, it has for me, but you know what I mean. So I want to ask Nambitha, in the terms of language and also applying it to the text, how important is your familiarity that you need to be learned in terms of just everyday language and being connected to that?
My name is Nambitha Mpumlwana. I think you heard. I'm going to introduce myself in this way. This panel is sponsored by Saga, and I'm an EXCO member of Saga, so I feel I need to just speak on that first. Thank you. It's important, Saga is important in this way, in that it's a South African Guild of Actors. And voice over, I call it voice acting. And it's amazing how many voice actors we've had to rescue from situations where they had a contract and something happened in the studio, and we've had to step in with our legal team and, speak on their behalf. So if you are here and you're just a voice actor, you still need to join Saga. It's only 160 Rand a month, which is less than a lunch at Tasha's. Even Nando's, which I love, and but it's that just in case, it's 160 bucks a month, but not even. It's not even. No, it's 1.5. Yeah. Oh Lord. But what it does for you is incredible. And the doors that it opens for you are amazing. And of course, we make sure that every month there is some kind of workshop. Andrew, we work with Andrew quite a lot, and we do a lot of workshops with Andrew just to make sure that the artists that are under, the banner of Saga are learned, trained, well-versed in the industry. So we'll do workshops with coaches, we'll do workshops with agents, casting directors, all sorts of people, just so that when you walk into whatever space where you need to present your craft, you have the backing and also you have the knowledge. So not just the skills of the business, but the business of the business as well. I think Mary spoke at length about that. So it's critically important. So if you have not, I have with me a QR code that I want you to come past me, take a picture of that QR code and join Saga today. All right. And I've got about 5 of them, so I'm gonna give out 5. And I expect if I run into you and you've got that card, I would like to see that card looking quite battered, because you've been showing that QR code to even more people. We need our voices to be heard. We are in an industry that is not regulated. It is in the entire world. In the entire world, where there are entertainment industry actors everywhere in the world, we are not regulated, we are not protected. That means we cannot negotiate. We're talking about rates. The gentlemen were talking about rates earlier. Intertalent
is actually illegal. It's illegal for Intertalent to broadcast or to display their rates in the way that they used to. The Competitions Commission has come up and said, hey, that is collusion. It's illegal. And that is because our industry is not regulated. So we have to find ways of protecting ourselves. Yeah? Sorry, I'm talking politics.
Definitely.
It's my thing. It's my thing. Sorry, guys. I'll get to your question in just a moment. And please kindly forgive me for taking so long. This is very, very important. So the business of the business is critically important for your longevity in the business. And again, it was spoken earlier that you are a business. We are under the contract law, not the Department of Employment and Labor and not DSAC. Contract law. That means you are kind of like the plumber, and plumbers are not allowed to compare prices. You are not allowed to compare prices. So when you negotiate, you can call Unatsukutumisha, hey, Tumza, what do you charge for such and such? Do it quietly, because if it's heard by anybody else and they report you, you have broken the law. And that is because we're not protected as artists. That is why we've been working on the Performance Protection Amendment Bill and the Copyright Amendment Bill so that we are protected, we are regulated. So SAGA has been at the forefront of these conversations to make sure that artists in the country are protected. We've been talking to the Department of Employment and Labor. We've got what we call sectorial determination. That means in our industry, there are things that do not fall under the Labor Relations Act. Children working on set. I train communicators and voiceover artists. And so what I do is I teach you to use a red ink. Andrew, I think you've seen me do this, where you do your marks as you, and it has been read and in your handwriting, on paper. That way it's hand to, what is this? That coordination, yeah. It's critical, it works like magic. And when it's read, because the page is black and white, when it's read, when it comes up, it pops out. You don't have to learn it. Your brain is already grabbed onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah? And you get in there and you get out. And they're like, whoa, that's the right person for the job. Avon? But then I lost this gig because having grown up in Canada and speaking Canadian English, I couldn't say grandpa. It came out like grandpa. And I had to work at, flattening my tone so that it's acceptable within the South African context. After a few years, I actually because I would walk in, they say, you really don't sound South African. I'm like, do you know how hard I've worked for this? Do you know how much my tongue hurts right now? And they'll be like, okay, well. You know when they do that, okay, well, thank you. You know they're gonna call somebody else. So I lost a very good gig, Pampers as well, because somebody picked it up and said, what did she just say? As women, we've got an incredibly wide range. Incredibly wide range where you can go from the little baby to the good morning voice. And one of the things that worked for me was that I actually do have my lower register works really well. So I was taking jobs from male voice artists because they wanted a female that could do the male thing. So when they were talking about getting that niche, I got that. But yeah. But so that finding your tone, that finding your thing is critically important. And as much as I cannot say enhance, and I will immediately say enhance, and somebody wants enhance. Somebody out there wants grandpa. And I got fired from this one, but somebody else. So adjust yourself, but don't give up on yourself. Was it Zweli that said be your best advocate? I also direct / produce for radio spots. And I've encountered people that would come, especially females. We're talking like this, you hear my tone? Siyancokola, and everything is fine, and then they get into the booth and when did the mouse get into the booth? And that because in our heads, we believe that this is what it's supposed to be. I am not good enough. I need to put on something else. And that is selling yourself short. There is somebody out there whose tone sounds like that naturally, and they can actually do all these different tones in that voice. Where now we are figure and come and pretend to be that person, and you're not doing it authentically. Child, you're gonna get fired. You're gonna lose that job. The other thing, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, please.
I know. Speaking of vernacular, I'm so sorry. I'm a teacher at heart, so this is
more like a
the one thing that is absolutely critical when it comes to vernacular is that you need to honor the culture of the language. Now, there's an ad running on television, and this child says, "Mangifunda incwadi," and as soon as I heard that, my stomach dropped to the bottom, to my ankles, and I said, "What the heck? How many black people, Xhosa, Zulu, Nguni-speaking people, approved this nonsense?" It is so disrespectful to who we are, and it plays every day, multiple times a day. You cannot do that to yourself. And unfortunately, I have the reputation where when it happens in my presence, I say something. Because you are insulting me, and if I was in the room when it happened, and Lutho knows that I was in the room when it happened, uzawuthi, Nambitha, why didn't you do something about it? Why do you let them disrespect us like that? So honor yourself in whatever that space is, and especially in this environment where you only have the voice. So when you paint those pictures in your mind and you produce them in your voice, make sure that you honor the culture of the language that you are speaking.
Sure, definitely.
Diakolisa.
No. Thank you for that. No, thank you for that. I think it's really important, the political side of it, because it's something that we don't always want to talk about, but we are living in a space where politics do affect, the other side. So thank you just for highlighting that. But because of time, we're going to have to just, we have to, time, right? So just for the, just if you can just answer as we go down, because we have to wrap time. And quickly, firstly, in 5 words and no more, to all 3 of you. 5 words and no more. No way. As a part 1 of your question, I want to talk, shifting gears to the future and also the globalization of the African voice, right? Especially in the space of arts, media, entertainment, and culture as a whole. How, and with the 3 of you, just wrapping up and giving different perspectives on that. I think we can start with yeah, so from Africa to the world, taking your voice to the world, into the space, right here, right now. How do you bring the brightest and also the loudest of yourself?
To be honest, I think the world is looking at us. I don't know, when I looked at the globalization being the theme, I was like, with so much technology happening now, there isn't really much we can do but just to be ourselves. And I think everybody is looking at South Africa going, "Hi manzi akhala lana, amapiano, animation, everything is really happening." I don't think there's much to do other than what Umama said, is just be yourself. Find your voice, be you. And honestly, I think that's how we can make it out there. I don't even think we have those dreams of like, now I want to go to America. Now I'm very happy here, to be very honest with you. I am very happy in South Africa, and I don't see myself really being anywhere else, because I really do think that the world is looking at us. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. With the same question.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to be here. I was actually saying earlier, I wish that we had something like this when I started out in this industry. So I'm very, very happy about this. Noni, you had 5 words. The world is looking. The world. No, I tend to agree with Noni. I think the world is looking at us, and we are, African culture, South Africa as well. On the world stage, we are quite influential, and people are really tapping into our markets across, a broad range of industries and areas, but particularly when it comes to the arts and the work that we do. So I think it does come down to authenticity and also positioning yourself in the most authentic way as an African. So I know for me as well, I've gotten jobs where there was one where it was with an Italian production company. I've also worked with one, a Lebanese company as well. Through LinkedIn, by the way. Also, get on your LinkedIn and put your voiceover things there, by the way. And they really are looking for authentic African voices. And it's also interesting where they'll specify that they would like a South African accent, and within those sessions you'll also be adding to their knowledge in terms of the nuances that exist within our culture and our society, and being able to portray that in the best possible manner for their project. And then you'll get ones where it's like they want you to portray more of an East African or West African, and I'm like, hey, but I have my friend from Nigeria who can do this better than me. But it really is quite booming right now, and I think just, as Noni said, being authentic, but also making sure that you are developing your skill set, and that you are, I'm also going to echo what you said in terms of doing justice to who we are as a people, doing justice to our culture and our stories, because we're in the business of storytelling at the end of the day. So what are our stories? Who are we as a people? And how do we actually tell those stories in the most authentic way? And doing that and positioning yourself in a way that does that, you've got gold. Thanks.
Well, thank you for that. Khumi, as we wrap it up.
Tobela. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Khumi Hamese. So I'm going to be honest, I started off as a radio presenter on campus radio, and that is how I got introduced to the fact that there is a thing called a voiceover artist. So at the station they had ads, and they don't pay you on campus radio. So one day I was like, actually, station manager, can I try one of these? And then the DJs also that worked at the radio station were like, I've got a gig. So I started doing gig guides, and that's how I kind of got into this thing. And then I realized that this thing can actually go another way. So I worked with Coca-Cola during the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and I was doing the live announcing for them. And while I was doing that, I realized you can actually use your voice beyond radio. At that point, I didn't understand the concept. It was still very early in the game. And then I went on the internet and I found my agent, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna stalk this man. And I stalked him, and he saw me, and we sat down and we spoke, and he said, actually, I love your voice so much. Let me show you what voiceover work can do beyond campus radio. And that's when I got my first television advert. And I thought, okay, this thing, it can actually take you far. And then the money came in, and I was like, yay, man. So that campus radio doesn't pay, but this one does. Okay, I need to push this one. And, I grew up being called a chatterbox. So fast forward 12, 14 years in the industry, I get called one day to work with Global Citizen. And at that point, I didn't actually realize that, okay, so you can go and work at a live concert in a booth at the back of the stadium with international artists. So I want to take it to the globalizing the African voice. They wanted me to be as African as possible. They did not expect me to do anything other than to be myself. And you don't think that Beyonce and Jay-Z would want to be announced by a South African sounding voice. But, the client was in the UK, so we were back and forth through the phone, through, the internet, and they were saying, we want this to be the most authentic global citizen African concert, and for that to be the first one we had in Africa, and for them to want me to just be me, I felt was the best way to honor who we are as Africans. And they were patient, they understood, and going through over 100 pages of script was overwhelming on its own. And then you get to the day after rehearsal and they give you an additional 50 pages that has changed from last night. And then they tell you you can't even go to the bathroom because, Lord and behold, it's a live show. So if anything happens, you better be on the mic. So you have an assistant. In case you need anything, someone must, run around. But that gave me an insight on what we can do with our talents as we are, the way we speak, the way we represent ourselves, but also put ourselves out there and be able to be received by the rest of the world as authentic as we are. So I think that was the first time I clicked that this is actually possible for us and we can make it happen. I hope for more moments like that where, other countries will want to create something but also want to rope us in and have us be just who we need to be as a part of that project. So yeah, that's my story.
Well, thank you so much, Khumi. What a way to wrap it up. Yeah, thank you so much.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay, Fee.
Just the most important thing is when you go into the booth, and it kind of fits in with all of this, is when you go into the booth, don't go in and expect them to tell you what to do. Go in with your 30-second spot and give them something. 9 times out of 10, they'll say, that's what we want, just like that, but can you do this? If you're way off beam, they'll go, yeah, it's good for time, but we want it different. But at least you've got a starting point that otherwise you're floundering. And that's when you end up saying, as Nambitha said, if you're over 30 minutes in the studio, then you're out of it. So always give them something. Always have an attitude, have a character behind the product, have a delivery in mind, do your lines of your breaths, because there's nothing worse than a phrase that is breathed wrong. But the other thing is, in the same way that we have to do justice to African languages, if you're asked to do accents, do justice to other globalized languages. So don't do an American accent if you don't know how to do it. Don't do that. Rather come to me. No. Yes! No, I'm not saying that. Rather go to a coach, but the thing is that someone that can assist you with your own specific. Going onto YouTube as a South African and getting someone who's American teaching an American accent doesn't help us. Our voice doesn't sound the same. We go really, and we sound Russian. So I'm just saying, I really do appreciate people talking, doing justice to our own languages. Also, let's be global and do justice to the rest. And thank you very much.